Welcome back. You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us. We're asking you whether the speech by President Uhuru Kenyatta while he addressed the nation today met your expectations. Let's take a look at some of your thoughts before we throw it back to the legislators I'm hosting tonight. Kevo Wadadori on Twitter says, "Not really. I expected him to address the economic recovery and corruption, which has proven to be a very hard nut to crack. Actually, reggae and hustler bravado should wait as we recover the economy and fight COVID-19. John Mutai says that he's texting from Kericho County and says, "I was shocked to hear equity distribution of resources and yet government-state function is dominated by one region, read PS, CSS and state corporations, etc." Chariot Dixon says, "I totally, in contrary with the president, nowadays compared to 2013-2019 after handshake, things are different." I don't quite understand that. Noah Magara says, "For sure, no. What BBI can do for us ordinary Kenyan, nothing without goodwill from these politicians. To him, by reading the speech, that's all. No implementation whatsoever." Let's take a final one, then throw it back. Really struggling to get one where people are optimistic and perhaps say that their expectations were met. But let's take a final comment here. Bernard Kiprotich says, "That was the annual storytelling." Very unfortunate there. But I'd like the legislators to perhaps comment on some of the sentiments we're getting from Kenyans here on Twitter. We've asked them whether their expectations were met. But it would appear Kenyans are more worried about economic recovery, corruption. And from some of the comments we've read here, some say BBI can wait. David Ocheng, your thoughts? Yes, please unmute your audio as we continue.
I'll be back from the break. Thank you so much. BBI. I think the biggest news on the BBI for today was the president's opening a room for further talks about it, for consensus, for talking together and going forward together. I think for the last 1 week, we've had a very worrying situation where, people are saying the door is shut. If you have anything to say, the time for saying what was supposed to be said is over. It's only time for editing. A lot of that has been said, but the president is clear that if you listen to him clearly say, he wants to move the country forward together. And so he put so much emphasis on building consensus. And I can tell you this, Akisa, that I've been around to see how moving one way and leaving the rest of the country has messed our country. We tried in 2005 with the Constitution, it never worked. The 2010 Constitution had its own issues. We are now here. But the most recent one was when we had Kiraitu and Orengo Committee on election laws. Mm-hmm. There's a time when we told in Parliament that you will not change a comma or a full stop.
Yes.
Those laws came to hit us very hard. And so I'm very happy that the president sees that there's need to further build consensus, because initially, Akisa, the handshake and the BBI was between Uhuru and Raila. But now it's a national issue. It's no longer between the two of them. It's now for the country. And that's why he said that we must constructively read BBI report. Constructively meaning that you read, give comments that make it better. And so he's opening room for talks, he's opening room for building consensus, and I think this is the best news I've had in a long time in politics. I want to encourage the president,
right.
I want to encourage the president to not remove his legs on that pedal. That's why he must hold on if BBI is to get any traction.
The last Naivasha meeting by largely pro-BBI legislators, I'm sure Wangwe was part of it. I'm not very sure whether you were in Naivasha. They came up with a supposed calendar of events, quite tight, looking at a possible referendum in June. Now that we've seemingly opened up a space for, talks, when we're talking about building consensus, what does that then mean? What are we likely to see in the next coming days? And does it in any way disrupt the calendar as had been planned by legislators who were in Naivasha? Ocheng.
I mean, like I say, if you were to be in Uhuru's feet, and he says he stood on the mountain and has seen yonder, and it means, therefore, that for us to move together, you didn't need a whole year to discuss anything on BBI Akisa. You just need a framework and tell people within these 10 days, anybody who has an issue with the report, you don't have to introduce new issues into it, but anybody who has issues with the report for improvement, for removal, take it to this place. We have this technical committee that will receive your views, process the same, and in 10 days, we are done. We will have moved so far instead of having politicians talking at each other, some in Naivasha, some in Upper Hill, some in whichever position. We just need to have a central location. And I thought actually this afternoon that the president will be telling us that he has appointed a technical committee of these 8-10 people who will receive the views, refine them in the next 10 days, have a final document that will then go into the bill that has been drafted for amendment of the Constitution. That's what the country needs, a proper way forward that is structured, that does not send people to this, it causes problems where we had a secretariat, we had a secretariat of the BBI. Now we don't know where to take those views, whether to go to Upper Hill to Raila's office, whether to go to State House to Uhuru's office, whether to go to KICC. No one knows where to take these views for processing. This for me is a big miss. I hope that in the next few days he'll tell us where these views can be taken and the framework within which we'll have this consensus being built.
Clearer structures. Wangwe, at this point, the president likening himself to Moses atop Mount Nebo, saying he can see yonder, he can see the other side. Perhaps, and there's a running joke on social media that perhaps the Canaan that Raila Odinga talked about in 2017, we are seemingly approaching it with the BBI, are we?
Thank you very much. The president is a Catholic like myself. And when you look at what he has said, it simply implies that the president wants to take Kenya beyond himself as a person. Maybe he's telling us that 2022, he is exiting the stage and he wants to see Kenya crossing over to the next level. So he wishes everybody to join him, help Kenya move beyond himself. Let not Kenyans look at what is going on like it's a Uhuru issue, because Uhuru will not be there in the political arena 2022 to look for more seats. Me, that's how I look at it. So he's saying, Kenyans, watch the space. If you cannot trust me in secular, can you trust me through the Bible? And indeed, it came to pass after Moses told his disciples that this is the followers, that this is what I want the people to do. I want you to cross over to the promised land. So from that point, I say that I'm not seeing the president opening the window with an open key and saying that the door is open. People now can log in and change my document.
Right.
Instead, what the president is saying is that anyone of goodwill, join me, move forward. Join me, this is what I have. What do you want to offer within the framework of what I have? So that at least the president has a document at hand, can then anyone who has a different view make his input, rather than complaining and saying he has not been able to, he has not been heard. So according to me, the president has given a soft approach to the consensus journey. So he has invited anyone who has a counter opinion, not just to shy away from wherever he is, but he should also seek for an approach, an approachable journey, which he can also make his views be heard, considering the fact that this document is 11 months old. Honorable Cheng is a very serious lawyer, a colleague who knows very well that this document has been in the hands of the drafters, receiving views and validating for the last 11 months. So according to me, I expect at this point, most of the Kenyans to have given their views by this time. But now, if the strain that is taking almost leads some points look like someone or those who want to give that the opposite, the contrary view, want to give the political contrary view.
And you rightly put it, Honorable Wangwe, that this document, this process has taken about 11 months. They went to Kenyans, they validated some of their thoughts on this. A lot of people expected that this document will be very representative of what Wanjiku really wants. So then coming up with a document that is as contentious as this, and that, you know, the president is softly asking people to work within this document, contentious as it is, what are we telling Kenyans?
I would not want to give the connotation of contentious as it is. I do not
Is it
think
not?
if,
From where you sit, haven't you seen very serious contentions over a number of proposals in that particular document?
Yes, you see, Akiza, look at the way, sometimes the way people raise their issues is what makes others feel like it's heavily contentious. Look at the way the pastoralists have approached their issues. In the initial stage, it was like it's a very contentious issue. But upon engaging the former prime minister and engaging in a conversation within the framework of the document, they came to understand where the amendments can be accommodated at a particular level. I feel that is the approach the president is saying. Instead of talking from a distance, can you take a model that the PPG, the Pastoralist Parliamentary Group, took? And they came to us. We sat down, we talked, and now the team is working together. I think that's the approach that the president is looking at. So that instead of just talking and saying, we are talking from the other side, we want a national conversation day to make it bigger and buy time. Can you come, we sit and talk? I think that's the approach the president is looking at.
If allow me to come in.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I think this is what I'm talking about, Akisa, that, you know, so the pastoralist went and saw one of the principles. So what happens with those who don't want to see the principle and want to see somebody else? What happens with those who are not comfortable with that method? I mean, I wanted to say this, Akisa, on the issue, that we've had a situation where when people talk about the report, there's branding. It's already compartmentalizing us. That those who speak this way belong to these people. Those who speak this way belong to this kind of shade of opinion. I think there's a need for everybody to be given the benefit of the doubt, that whatever they are saying is within their right to say also as Kenyans, and that these views are being given objectively and in the spirit of developing the document into a better document. It is, in my opinion, wrong to start saying that those who are saying these things from a distance are wrong. As we speak, where is the structure? The church spoke this morning. The Catholic Church spoke this morning. Another part of the church spoke yesterday. So many churches have spoken over the last 1 week on the need to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And that's why I want to request that, can we have a framework? If Honorable Wangwe is a leader of the assembly, is the assembly now the place to process these ideas? Is there another forum for doing this? What is the forum? So that Kenyans who have issues, even if they are disarray, like it's been mentioned, where are these to be taken? Because I personally believe that this is no longer about the two principles. It's about the future. It's about, like he has just, Wangwe has just said, that this isn't about Uhuru Kenyatta. I don't think it's about Raila either.
Right.
We really, personally, I really appreciate the handshake. It has, stabilized the country.
Right.
The temperatures have gone down. But the way this is landed, Akisa, the way we land the BBI project determines its success or failure.
It's a conversation, an unending conversation on the BBI. We'll keep talking about this, seeing the direction it takes. Just before we wind up, another very key thing the president talked about, education, saying that the government did well in rolling out the CBC. It was successful, although with its very own challenges. The Ministry of Education is expected to, within the next 14 days, announce the 2021 academic calendar. This year has been very tumultuous as far as education, parents, and all stakeholders, even the learners, are concerned. For you, Wangwe, looking at how we've handled education, I heard Mutula Kilonzo say that he expected the president to talk about school fees and the strain that it has been for parents. What are your thoughts?
Thank you very much, Akiza. First, it's good that the President mentioned something to do with education, and education is an equalizer. Without education, we cannot really move. So in my view, I look at the way he approached the issue of the CBC. It is true, it has had difficulties, it has had casualties where some teachers were terminated, some were suspended, and so it was not very, very smooth. But finally, the scheme is up and running, the way the President has put it for us. And what I would want to say is this, that parents are Kenyans. Kenyans have lost employment. They have lost jobs. Therefore, it's my prayer to the President, in as much as he did not come out explicit, that first, let not the CS shout at the officers while inspecting in the field, number one. Let those officers tell him that wherever they are representing, those parents are poor.
Right.
Those are the real Kenyans. Those are the true Kenyans that have borne the strength, the problems of COVID.
Okay.
Those are the real families that have been affected. And therefore, since they lost jobs, they lost income, the business is just struggling to pick up. Can we rationalize also in the issues of school fees?
Okay.
So that we don't have to burden parents with higher school fees and again go down the 100% transition, which the President has already told us that he has achieved 100% transition. Let's not erode that gain of 100% transition because of lack of school fees.
All right. Ocheng, a wave of uncertainty has engulfed the entire education fraternity the whole of this year. In fact, big questions right now are the classes that have not joined yet. Are they going to repeat classes? What happens to Form 1, Class 8 next year? Are you satisfied with the manner in which we've handled this sector, especially amid this pandemic, as we wind up?
You know, I think the confusion in this sector is now legendary. The last 8 months, this ping pong. The minister says the president will give us way forward. The president says the minister will give us way forward.
Right.
And so it's left the country in this confusion that they don't know whether, you know, the government really knows how they want to handle the situation. We are just on onset of what is being called a second wave. The president says we are ready to open in January. The science doesn't seem to be bailing him out. Number two is that his desk's program to build capacity of schools to enable children to go back to school, for me, is almost a big failure. It was launched in a hurry. We are not seeing so many benches and desks being made where they're supposed to have been made. You've not had any schools reporting that because of that project, we now have capacity to take in students that way. And so I think the president needed to have been more firm. He needed to have given more hope on this. But the issue that Mutula raised, which is most important, is that is there a stimulus? Is there a relief being given to the parents when the schools are being opened? And Wangui and I in Parliament, and I think this is one of the things that we as parliamentarians must look at. Even if the president didn't address it, are we able to address it within the budget? Shortly, we're going to be given the supplementary budget to look at.
Right.
Are we able as parliament to deal with that at that level so that our children are able to go back to school with parents having relief, and above all, with the children that are at home now, knowing certain... My daughter here cried the whole week before opening school because his brother, who is older, is not going to school, but she has to go to school. There's so much happening in the families.
Right.
Children require counseling and all that. We need to have some level of confidence in that regard.
All right.
But before we go, because I see you are pressed for time.
Yes, I am.
There's an issue that president keeps talking about that I think we need to look at maybe next time. The issue of the youth bulge and the programs that are being put together by the government to address that youth bulge, whether they're going to be effective, whether they're elitist, and whether they're reaching the youth that we really need to reach.
It's a whole other conversation, and of course we'll be glad to have that with you and other stakeholders. David Ocheng, Member of Parliament to Kenya, Emmanuel Wangwe, Member of Parliament Navaholon Majority Whip at the National Assembly. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us tonight, helping us break down the State of the Nation address. We expected to also host Alice Wahome, Member of Parliament Kandara, but that wasn't possible. We'll be finding out why. But of course, keep your comments coming. I'll be sampling a number of them on whether your expectations were met in this particular address. Now back to the BBI report, and the document continues to divide Kenyans.